Okay, he's probably sleeping or something.
Hey, that's cool. He can sleep because we're live. It's Tuesday.
Woo!
It's like 90 degrees in here. That's fine, though, because we're going to podcast. That's what we do on Tuesdays, Eric.
Oh, my God.
Joey. You guys remember Joey and Joey's beard? I brought my mustache, Tom, Mr. Selleck. We're gonna do a show here for you. We're gonna put on
smooth.
Diddy, a little dance.
For centuries, we've been warned about little green men.
Now, they are coming. They're coming for you. Run. But first,
Shut your windows.
hide your apples. Prepare for the attack of the android. And now, your host and the human leader of the Android Underground, Matt Lee.
What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. This is episode 129 of Tag of the Androids. Every week, Tuesday evenings. TagOfTheAndroids.com. Did you see the wave? We're trying to get the wave going, but there's only 3 of us. I'm Matt Lee. That's Eric Finkenbiner. What's up, Eric?
Not much. I think I'm the only one this show without any facial hair, so hooray.
Hey, well, just because you're 12, I mean, that's fine. It'll come in soon. I keep
Thank
having
you, sir.
the box that says let him be 18 to join because Eric can't join because he doesn't have facial hair.
It's unfair.
Recognition doesn't let him. Also joining us, Joey Kelley. Welcome back after like a year hiatus.
Well, I was here briefly for episode 100, as you might recall. But speaking of the beards, I am starting to become more like Cy from Duck Dynasty. Everywhere I go, I've got Southern-style sweet tea and a beard. So
I wouldn't. I'll edit that out for your sake. No, actually, I won't. So all sorts of Android stuff talked about. I would like to start things out with, since Joey's back with us, you've been jamming some Republic Wireless for a while now. Are you on the Moto G, or what are you using? Tell us about it.
Okay, so here was the basic deal. We were looking for a way to cut our wireless bill. I was paying about $125 a month after taxes for 3 lines with no data, just calling and texting. So we were going, okay, how do we cut the costs? And with Republic Wireless, I was able to go down to, for the equivalent plan, $10 per month per phone. So it would have been like, let's see here, after taxes, it would have been like $35 a month for all 3 phones. So it was an incredible savings. It wasn't quite that cheap because we actually added data to one of the phone lines, so it wound up being not as large of an increase, but we literally cut the phone bill in half, and a little bit more than half, and we're able to add data to one line. So I jumped the gun and bought the Moto X for 1 line. Great phone, top of the line, highly recommended. Google Now, awesome. Very nice. But this is a Moto G. This is the 8 gig Moto G. It's the wussy one, as it were. But you know what? It still can play very nice podcasts from Beyond Pod, like the Buffer Overflow Show. You know, and shameless self-plug right there. It's a nice phone. It does not have the reception on either Wi-Fi or the cell network that the Moto X has. It does not have as good of an antenna. It does not have Google Now, but it's also half the price. The 8 gig one is $149, and they'll sell you a 16 gig one through Republic Wireless for $179. In my opinion, if there's any parents out there that are looking to get their kid a cheap device that doesn't necessarily have to have a plan with it, one of the cheapest things you can do right now is to buy a $149 Moto G from Republic Wireless, keep service on it for a month, then drop the service. And there you go. You got a $149 Android iPod Touch essentially, and then you can add phone or texting or data to it as you want. The service itself through Republic Wireless is largely dependent on where you are. They use Sprint towers, but the first time I tried Republic Wireless, I had their first phone and the first generation of their phone. After I sent that phone back, they came out with a new generation with a dual band antenna. The reception got a lot better. This Moto G is infinitely better than that first phone was. I go most places and I don't have problems making calls. There are a few places that you have spotty reception, but you get that with any carrier. And frankly, the ability to pop a wireless access point onto an internet connection and instantly get cell phone service through that internet connection is incredible. If you have a dead spot in your house, you add a wireless access point, voila, you have cell phone service. And frankly, the quality is just as good as a cell phone, if not better. The texting and everything works right over the Wi-Fi. And if you're willing to not have data when you're on the run, if you just want calls and texts when you're away from Wi-Fi, $10 a month. Can't beat it.
And it's fast? The speeds?
Well, if you're using the $10 a month plan like what I have, your speed is dependent upon the Wi-Fi because you don't have roaming data.
Right.
Depending on where you are, if the Sprint service in your area has 3G or 4G, you can either get 3G or 4G. 3G unlimited is $25 a month. 4G is $40 a month.
I like how on their website, on the $10 a month plan, they say you get unlimited data over Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Not quite sure how that.
Data. It's Wi-Fi. So wait a sec. I see what you're saying.
I'm confused.
Well, what they're trying to tell you is that you can call or text from wherever.
From
any get a cell phone signal.
Oh no! It says unlimited talk and text over Wi-Fi and cell, and then underneath that it says unlimited data over Wi-Fi. I think they're selling you something that's free already.
True.
Yes. Republic Wireless.
That's
you silly
awesome.
people.
All right, Eric, tell us about
What?
Mod and their plans for Android L. Is the L for later? Is that what it stands for? Later?
No, the L stands for labyrinth.
Oh.
Yes.
Like David
It's very
Bowie?
confusing. Yeah, God, I hope not. Was it really?
I'm pretty sure it was when I was a kid. Maybe not so much now. Somebody should remake it. What's Lucas doing? What's Spielberg doing? Can we get them?
I don't think Lucas is doing anything anymore.
You guys remake Labyrinth for me?
So L is for moving on, and it's the whole blog post here was because L was announced at I/O, but as we talked about on the last show, it was a developer preview, so it's only available for a couple of devices, and it's in beta, and it sucks, and it destroys phones. So this was the CyEngineMod team just putting it out there that they're not going to start development of CM12 until Android L has been finalized, if you will. I thought it was a good blog post. It explained a lot of stuff. It let people know that they're going to be working off of Android 4.4.4, improving that. So I think that's fine. I just actually updated to the latest M of CM11, and it's good. They've implemented some stuff from L, so I don't think it's a big deal if we have to wait a little longer.
Well, I read over the blog post, and frankly, it's pretty, this is coming and whatnot. And the way I view CyanogenMod is that it's kind of like a accessory for a new car model that's coming out. Until the car model actually comes out, you don't want to be making the accessory available, because what if they make a change just before it's released and it doesn't fit? What's the point in...
They can also update and not have to worry about the carriers. pushing these updates. So it may get fixed quicker than those of us on 4.4.2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it depends on the device you have, right? Like I haven't messed with CM since I got off the GeneX. The Moto X stock is just beautiful, and I didn't want to lose things like my active notifications because I love that. So, I might put it on the Nexus 10 here. It just sits here. I don't even touch it anymore ever since I flashed it. Like I'm just like, oh well. But
Speaking of which, is it me or are a lot of the reasons to ROM your phone kind of being supplanted by newer versions of Android as there's more feature rich? So it's like unless you're the hardcore tinkerer that just has to mess with it, it's almost like if you wait another 6 months, half the features that you were going to get out of flashing are going to be built in. So
what was the
risk of bricking it is...
What was the main reason? It wasn't features. It was because the skins and the themes and the scents and the Moto Blur were just ridiculous. I mean, that's why I started, and from what I've read, that's why a lot of people started. So once you started seeing devices come out with either better versions of those or none, like we saw with Moto Blur just gone, you kind of didn't need it. And you also saw Android getting, like you said, some of those features, some of the notification stuff I've noticed from old CM is like it made its way into like, what was it? Not Jelly Bean. What was the one? Maybe it was Jelly Bean. But like you started to see a lot of that stuff. So it stopped being worth it, I guess. I don't know. Especially if you only have one phone. Like I can't mess my daily driver up just tinkering,
Yeah, I agree. I will say though that with the CM's team push towards the milestone releases every month, stability and stuff has gotten much better.
For sure. I was definitely digging those. That was kind of towards the tail end of when I was playing with the GeneX. But yeah, or no, that's cool. Anything else?
I think you'd enjoy it if you put it on the Nexus 10. It's nice,
right?
Yeah,
for sure. And
so, nothing else on that, I don't think.
Okay. And we talked about it last week about the speed boost thing or whatever, right? I'm pretty sure we mentioned that. Thread, remember the comment thread okay. I'm pretty sure we mentioned it.
Yeah, and I threw that in the show notes from last week too. So
okay, cool.
If you want to reminisce, it's in there.
Listen to last week's episode. All right, let's see. Cult of Android has an article about the 5 Android L features you don't know about. Oh my goodness. Did you know about any of these?
I did not.
Factory reset protection? A kill switch, in essence?
I like that from a security standpoint in that you can't just have your phone wiped by some jerk that stole it. But I don't understand this next bit. Lower audio latency? The first paragraph says, audio latency has always been the Achilles heel of Android. What the flying heck are they talking about?
It's the people that make music like on their iPads. Like this is the thing. Just bear with me. This is the thing. People make music on their iPads, or they DJ. Put that in air quotes. They DJ with their iPads. You can't do that on Android because the way the audio latency is, it's too high to be able to do anything like that in real time. So they're saying that they finally managed to get that down, so that developers can look at the OS as a platform for making apps which will help musicians and composers. Because right now, it's pretty piss poor.
So this would be the Android device as a guitar app? Or a guitar amp?
I picture it more as like a looper and a beat pad. So you have the response time. The second I touch it, that signal goes out into the mixer, into the or whatever you're doing, instead of having a lag there. Like we have a machine over
Joey, let's say you're at the club. You're at the club and you're dropping some sick beats.
With a bottle full of bub, sure.
And
let's say that.
You just want, the dubstep's going, and you want to drop the bass.
Whoop, whoop,
you hit the button.
Whoop. And the bass drops, but it's late. Do you know what that does to a party vibe?
You're like,
you can't drop it late. You cannot.
I ordered that bass like 0.5 seconds ago.
I ordered that bass. You're not getting a tip because my bass was 30 minutes late. So
thank you.
You can eat my bass. They say other audio-related changes in Android L include an increased sampling rate, 96 kilohertz. All right, that sounds terrible.
Oh, jeez.
Your mic is clipping when there's loud stuff, so that's okay. You got it.
Fine.
It's
I'll not play any club music in my earphones then.
There we go. So other audio-related changes in Android L. We have 96 kilohertz sampling rate, better dynamic range with floating point USB audio support, and more. You remember back in the day when I had that Transformer Prime, and I was like, man, this would be super sweet if you could plug in a headset to it and use the headphones and the mic, but you couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
With this possible USB audio, maybe that'll happen. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
New camera APIs. Did you know about that?
Ooh.
That will
No.
allow for some rich camera apps to make their way to the Play Store and get rich. Hell yeah. I like that. I like the sound of that. It'll give you controls over the camera like exposure time, ISO level, AE lock, exposure compensation, video stabilization, and more.
Okay, so now that's something I was asking for like 3 years ago.
Right? And DNG support. What is DNG support? Is that RAW? What is that? I'm not familiar with.
DNG isn't RAW. RAW is RAW. DNG, I'm wondering if they meant PNG, but either I'm missing the format.
I will tell you that it is digital negative. Digital negative is an open, lossless, raw image format written by Adobe and used for digital photography. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the open source RAW implementation as opposed to the Nikon and the Canon proprietary RAW. Okay, for those that aren't aware, I'm still messing with photography. Nikon and Canon both wrote their own proprietary RAW formats, which is basically just a raw dump of all of the sensor values on the camera lens. And the problem is, from a software standpoint, the two formats compete, and they are not the same, so you have to write two different interpretation layers for the different type of software, which is not a big deal if you're Adobe and you're worrying about Photoshop. But if you're, the folks behind the GIMP, you have to write two completely different independent interpretation layers in order to get the stuff into your software. If it's an open source raw format, hopefully everyone's going to start to switch to it and adopt to that, which will mean that hopefully you'll be able to get cross-platform support for software, and that also helps out with hardware too, and it really helps out with the editing tools because it levels the playing field. You no longer have to buy Photoshop just to get something that'll interface with your camera. Because they're so big, Nikon and Canon, generally speaking, everybody writes a layer for them, but if you're Olympus or if you're Sony, Panasonic, Polaroid's even making digital SLRs, last I knew, they can write their own format, and it may not be in all the software. So if there's an open format, there you go.
Nice.
Write once, cover many.
Cool. One of the other features they talked about, which you guys are probably familiar with, is the hardware-assisted hot word, which, in layman's terms, it gives the phone the ability to use like Google Now functionality while the device is sleeping, which is something that currently, according to the article, I don't know. For some reason I was thinking not the Moto G, the other one. Yeah, the Moto G. I thought the Moto G could do this too, but
Moto X can, Moto G can't, at least out of the box.
Because the X8, right? It's using the X8 in the Moto X. You know what I want?
I gotta tell you that thing is creepy. The Google Now sleeping functionality, where you can just talk to the thing. Because here's the problem with it. It's not creepy in and of itself. Okay, the Google Now functionality, that's fine. Not a big deal. Not worried about that. What I am worried about is who else can turn on that microphone while it's listening, and who can record me. That's creepy. Creepy.
You walk around with a microphone in your pocket. Like, that's creepy? I mean, come on. Or just the fact that it has the capability that someone could hack it possibly and turn it on?
Just the possibility of being hacked and having someone recording you when you don't know it.
If you worried about that and all that stuff, like, you would just never leave the house, dude. You gotta just chill out. It's cool.
I wear a tinfoil hat.
You know what I want is the ability to make that hot word something else, like "Ayo phone," and then it's like, what? And I'm like,
yo, straight out of Compton, home phone?
No, yo phone, or something like okay Google now. Like, that's the worst. I want to say like yo phone or something similar.
What up, Moto X?
Hey. Just hey. I mean, that'd be cool. Hey. And it's like, huh?
Okay, hold on a minute. Every time,
all right, and then of course,
times you say hey in a day, that phone would be constantly on, asking you what you wanted it to do with it.
Hey. That's fine. More times than not, I'd be talking to it. Also, OpenGLES 3.1 support, which is cool for games. Yeah.
I think that's to me, that's one of the bigger things that I'm excited about.
Is it going to help them bring Unreal to my phone, like Unreal 04 even, I would be happy with?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I don't know much about Unreal, but I can tell you that it will bring more capabilities to people that are like really serious about doing game development. If you're doing game development a lot on Android, a lot of folks use they don't use the SDK, they use the MDK, which is the native development kit, so they can get like lower level stuff, and you can use OpenGL in there. So you know, the Android people constantly updating these OpenGL versions in each release can only be a good thing in my opinion.
So here's a question for you: are we going to see PC games on mobile, or are we going to see cross-platform games that can be run in an interpreted environment across multiple platforms?
Well, we're already seeing that, right? Like Shadowgun Dead Zone, you can play multiplayer with your tablet or a computer using a mouse and keyboard, or an iPod or tablet, what's it called? iPad, right? Or Facebook, which is a weird, like, okay, I mean that's cool, I guess, but it makes it kind of odd because you're putting, like, when I play on the tablet and I'm in a room with a bunch of kids on mouse and keyboard, like, you get slaughtered because a mouse and keyboard is much more accurate and easier to turn around and all this. Same goes the other way. You know, if you're on a tablet playing with some kids on crappier, you know, different hardware, it's a different experience. But I mean, we're already seeing that kind of stuff.
I remember that back in the day when Halo came out for the PC, they actually issued a patch to change the version number. It was very little else was done, just changing the version number, and it made the version number for Halo on the PC different than the version number of Halo on the Xbox, because the people in the Xboxes were getting slaughtered by those of us on PCs.
Just playing a first person with a controller freaking sucks.
Yep, because you know, oh, hold on, let me move my analog stick and I'm going to slowly dead, you know, and the rest of us were just going whoop, ping, whoop, ping, whoop, ping, ping, oh, they dead, oh, you know. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's not just can you play the game in multiple places, but can you offer the same experience?
Right. And that is, I mean, so far, and that's one of the few that I know of that have done it that well to where everyone's playing in the same thing. Eric, are you down with this? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I really don't care. I have another story that's in the doc that. What's that?
You're mad about the Ouya, and that's fine. I feel your pain.
I just have concerns about. I just have concerns about mobile gaming overall.
What are those?
The way that.
Let's jump right into that, please. Share me your concerns.
Well, so this is a story. It's actually about an iOS game, but I think that it underlines a potential problem with all mobile gaming, which is Bandai Namco, which we may remember from our childhoods,
Sure.
makes a lot of games. They released a free-to-play version of Tales of Phantasia on iOS, and it's free-to-play, but like all these free-to-play games, like there's in-app purchases and things like that. They just decided, like they posted. When I don't know if there's a date on this. I think it was like yesterday, the day before. They just posted a notice. Yeah.
Yes.
Posted a notice on the App Store that said, "We regret to inform you that we will cease distribution of this app on August 28th, 2014. On this date, the app and all associated services will become unusable. This includes in-app purchase items already purchased and saved data. Furthermore, sale of in-app purchase items will conclude on 7/29/2014.
But they're gonna give you your money back for all those in-app purchases you wasted money on, right?
Sure.
Nope.
Not really.
Did you read the terms of service?
I'm sure that it said we can screw you and you have to smile while we do it.
And if you don't smile, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Until you
exactly. Until you
right?
smile.
Now, did they give any kind of a justification, like we're spending 90 million hours a week developing for this and it's not paying for itself, or do they just be like, no, we're done?
I think they just said no, we're done. Nothing in this little release indicates anything other than we're doing this on these dates. Sorry.
Was this a beta?
Well, no, it wasn't a beta. It was a game.
Well, I understand that, but it wasn't like this will self-destruct. I feel like if you would have went into the terms of service, all would have been revealed.
This is probably true.
Bring me
probably the customer's fault.
Terms and let us decipher them.
The lesson here is, regardless of all these people that say mobile gaming is, it's the future and free to play and blah blah blah. As far as I'm concerned, if I want to play Tales of Phantasia, I'll go on eBay. I will pay $15 and get the Game Boy Advance, version of it. That's mine. I own it. I can play it whenever I want. This free to play crap is only asking for trouble.
It's ephemeral, right? I mean, it's not going to last. It's just hanging out, trying to catch a break, trying to make a bill, and then it's out. Flappy Bird. I call it the Flappy Bird complex.
Yeah, it's the Flappy Gate syndrome.
But Flappy, right? Well,
yeah. So I don't know. I think you put it best. It's ephemeral. Like there's this mindset, and it's the same with these music streaming services. It's the idea that you don't get to own anything. We'll push it to you, and you can consume it as long as we want you to consume it, and then we can take it back, and it's ours. And then in 10 years, we can pull it out of the Disney vault and re-release it, and you can buy it again.
Sell it to you again, and then you can give us more monies.
No.
Read it and weep. I still got the CD.
I don't know what that is.
Quite possibly the greatest title that LucasArts ever released.
Ah, back in '89, was that 92?
94, actually. IBM CD-ROM or compatible.
Nice.
Yeah.
For those of you watching, what's that show? Halt and Catch Fire. The IBM compatible. All right. Anyway, let's see.
But anyway, I still got the CD. I can still use an old OS. I can still use an emulator, and I can still play this sucker. Full motion RPG.
But do you? When's the last time you actually played that crap?
I tried to create a Windows actually a DOS 622 install to run it on, and it didn't work.
Interesting. So you actually can't play it, is what you were.
No, I can. I just need to find the right.
Okay. Well, when you do, you can. Yeah. But until
play
that,
with some IRQ settings. Just have fun.
Yeah. You ever tried to play with the IRQ settings through VirtualBox? Oh crap!
Let's rehash some more stuff from last week. Eric, share with us 11 dumb and awesome tricks Android Wear the watch can already do. Did you know about these tricks?
No, I didn't. This is so amazing.
People on Android are so lucky.
People are great. Can iPhone do this? I don't think so. Order a pizza from your watch,
Right?
please.
I mean, actually, the other day, like, I was in a frame of mind where I didn't want to go anywhere, and I didn't want to talk to anybody, and I just wanted to sit, and I wanted food, so I actually, like, reinstalled the pizza app on my phone and then ordered that way.
Lazy, lazy son of a bitch.
You have no idea. So, had I had a watch on, I mean, that looks like it's really hard to do, but, you know, pizza's round, watch is round, whatever.
Can't imagine this would be fun.
You can
You know when I will buy one of these watches?
What?
When it will talk to my phone, when I can talk into the watch, and it will talk to my phone, and my phone will talk to my car, and then my car will talk back to me, and then drive over to me if I ask it to. In other words, pick me up around the front of the building.
That's the movie Batman, and I'm pretty sure something would get lost in translation, and your car would like drive itself off a cliff or something.
The movie Batman. Try the TV show Knight Rider.
Or
Listen, I don't think either of you are reading.
Dick Tracy, or yeah, sure.
It says here that there is a Lyft app where you can tap and you can call a car. So the future is here, my friends.
Listen
you
to
just
this.
need to read. And you can board a plane.
Out of this list, right, you can set the tone with music and your lighting if you have Philips Hue. You can take a flight somewhere to hit on strangers and then put them in the trunk of your Lyft back to the hotel where you control music and then turn off the lights. Board the plane to get back home while you have a sing-along. You tweet about it, and there you go.
And then if they speak only Spanish, you can brush up on your language skills while you're at it.
This is the most ridiculous list. Gizmodo, come on.
I know. I put it in the doc just because I found it hilarious. I mean, the pizza one is enough.
Set up a do anything button. All right. Okay. Do anything. Click.
If this, then that is kind of cool, but again, I don't, like, what are you going to do if somebody uploads a picture of me on Facebook, send them a creepy message, and then send my car to their house? Like,
Yeah. The problem with this is that this is an auxiliary device that talks to a phone. It's a fancy remote control for your phone that you can put on your wrist. I'm not saying it isn't cool. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that it's not its own standalone device. So you're adding an expensive gadget to a really expensive gadget.
Yeah, but it's I think it's iterative. I mean, watch is fine. It's just like, okay, look, we made it this small, and then pretty soon we'll make it this small, and then we'll put it in you, and then I'll be excited.
It's starting to sound like the phones from Zoolander.
Right? Until it's in me, I'm not excited. Eric, are you excited?
I mean, it's not in me, so of course I'm not.
Well, there you go. Would you brush up on your language skills, just you and your watch? Just
you know, you Duolingo.
Sitting by a Chromecast fireplace, just...
Little glass of Pinot.
Right? Some Pinot Gris, just talking French to your watch?
Parlez-vous français, LG watch?
Waiting
Parlez-vous, mademoiselle de wrist?
Yes. Just waiting for your Tinder hookup to board his plane and.
Would you like to turn on the electric fireplace via the home automation app? Ah, yes, mademoiselle, your dirty little watch. Your dirty watch. I mean, seriously, at what point does this become stupid? I think we passed that.
That was 15 minutes ago. Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, tell us about this. Oh my goodness, is my phone leaking my location through its little Wi-Fi antenna? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Eric, should we be worried?
I don't think you necessarily have to be worried, but I mean,
what if you're running Honeycomb? Then should you be worried?
Well, it's starting in Honeycomb. I read that too, and I was just like, really? Android 3.1? Are you messing with me? And above. So what the article is pointing out is that the EFF found that from 3.1 and above, Android devices will broadcast the names of the last 15 Wi-Fi networks that that particular device has connected to. So
Broadcast
much like
what? Just anything that sends it the command, or it's just yelling this out as you walk down the street?
Okay, hold on. Flag on the play. Fundamental misunderstanding of how technology works. And I'm surprised the EFF is on the wrong side of this one for once.
Tell us, Joey.
In order for a wireless device to determine if a network is in range or not, it has to be constantly checking on the various Wi-Fi frequencies for wireless access points that it recognizes. Now, it can do that in one of two ways. It can do that in the put out a burst and let whatever's in the area come back to it, and say, "Hey, look, is everything here? Hey, what's out there?" And then let everything come back to it. Or if you're talking about power efficiency, it can send out the last, in this case, 15 networks that it's connected to, and say, "Are any of these available?" Nope. That's a heck of a lot easier than sending out, okay, what's available, and then deciphering, that parsing that list and trying to match it up. So this is a power-saving feature. It's a speed feature because the last 15 wireless networks are usually the ones that you're connected to most recently, and the most recent ones are usually your most popular ones. So it's going to latch onto a network that you're seeing more often faster because it's broadcasting it. And two, if you've got, or in addition to that, if you have a hidden wireless network, it has to transmit the name, because otherwise it will never get a response. It will just send out traffic forever and ever and ever on all the wireless frequencies, and that wireless access point will never respond with a name because it's hidden.
So who cares then? What's the big deal? They say to fix it, you go into advanced, and where it says keep Wi-Fi on during sleep, like mine says always, you can turn it to never, and that won't.
Okay, so what that will mean is that if you walk into your house and your phone is in sleep mode, which isn't uncommon, your phone will not attach itself to your wireless access point until you wake it up.
And then it yells out for the last 15 points it's been to?
Yes, and then it yells out for the last 15 points it's been to.
And then what? Somebody's there sniffing packets and is like, aha! I got
Basically.
You. That's retarded. I'm sorry.
So, okay, help me understand this, though. If this is the standard of how it works, then why is it that not all Android phones are affected? Why is it that some iOS devices are affected, but those running the last two versions of iOS are not affected?
Not all of them have those Wi-Fi settings in them, right?
And they also say that it's also about laptops and whatnot. So it depends upon what your priority is. If your priority is security and not disclosing anything, then you simply don't send out the names of the last 15 wireless networks that you send out.
And get a black phone. I mean, if that's your worry.
Yeah, one of my coworkers, I can't say former, he was obsessed with security. He will not get one of those GPS transponders that allows you to drive through toll booths on the interstate.
Makes sense. They track you with that.
Right, but he had two smartphones at the time.
Also being tracked with little smartphone tinfoil hats on them.
Exactly. So which is your greater issue? The point being that the only way that you're going to be safe on this kind of thing is to be unplugged. And anything other than that is safe or not safe. But
I like the comment here. There's one comment. It says, "This is why my Motorola StarTAC 550 still rocks. Go analog." All right, let's move on. That's terrible. Eric, stop putting dumb articles in the rundown, please. I'm totally kidding. I actually enjoy them sometimes. Tell me, if I wipe my phone if I just do a regular wipe, will that adequately delete the data, Eric?
Well, gee, Matt, thanks for asking. The answer is no.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think this is something that if we were to ask ourselves, is this possible? We would probably say yes. This makes total sense. But the way that it seems the Android wipe is currently working is that all it does is mark sectors available to write to. It
Just
doesn't
like on a
overwrite any data.
Right, that's all a computer does. Unless you're using erase programs, right, that actually rewrite zeros and one over the, yeah.
Right, the difference between a format and a DoD wipe.
Right, exactly. So when you send your phone to Gazelle and they wipe it for you, or you wipe it and then you send it, or you need to get a replacement, so you wipe it and you send it to them, are there people from the NSA undeleting that information and then storing it?
No, I think there are people from the internet scanning that information and putting your nudies online.
Ooh, I see. Star.nude.jpg. Yeah.
So the
moral of the story
article
there is
points
don't
out.
take nudies.
The article points out that with iOS, because of the hardware encryption, when you do this wipe, when you do a wipe on iOS devices, you can't do these same tricks. But with Android, you can, unless you have encrypted your data beforehand. So unfortunately, there's no DBAN equivalent for Android. But I don't know. Hopefully Google implements a more secure wipe.
You could get terminal tools, right, and get into command line and do it that way, because it's just Linux backend. So, but I get nobody's gonna do that, right? But
yeah, I think for the consumer, and there's two options too. When you do a factory reset, you have factory reset while keeping your data partition. You have factory reset while erasing your data partition. So
that's not in a stock thing though. That's only in recovery, in like clockwork recovery. Is that in regular if people know how to get into that?
I thought so.
If you just go to settings, like in your phone, all you can do is factory reset. Back up and reset, erase factory data on the phone. I know you can't see that, but
there's erase SD card as well in storage. So yeah, you're right. So there's two. You would have to go to two places on the
people would
device.
Actually reboot the phone into recovery mode to then get into those other options.
Yeah, see, it's not very.
Sure.
It's a good point. It's not very friendly.
I like that Avast actually purchased a bunch of smartphones from eBay. They got 20 of them, right? They said among the data that Avast employees recovered from the phones were more than 40,000 pictures, including 250 nude male selfies, ladies, along with 750 emails and text messages, 250 contacts, the identities of 4 phones' previous owners, 5 golden rings, and a partridge completed loan application. Oh, that's pretty awesome. So why did they just mention how many male selfies? How many are the other, what is that, 39,000 pictures, are those female nude selfies, or?
I think they're just pictures, and they found like some Facebook posts and things like that.
That's awesome.
And they don't fail to point out at the very end that they have their own security app that has a deletion tool.
Really?
So
will it wipe your device?
It certainly will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that to the test there, Stud?
No, I think it's a good thing to point out, but consider the source and the fact that if you had accidentally wiped your phone, you'd be very grateful that they didn't overwrite to ones and zeros without telling you. So
yeah,
there's a balance there. I think that Google just needs to figure out what's the best way to present it to the customers. Of do you just want to wipe out Android and keep your stuff, or do you want us to like completely demolish the entire hard drive? So
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Just take more nude selfies. I mean, if we've learned anything, it's that you should just take more nude selfies. So, good lesson from that, Eric. I like that.
Yep. So, guys, email your nude selfies to matt@attackoftheandroids.com.
Where it will bounce promptly over to Joey at. Tell us about, speaking of more security biz, do we need malware protection on Android? I'm going to guess no. But I don't know. Browser's a browser. Does it get poop on it? I don't know.
Personally, I think that at some point there is going to be some malware that will find a way to get onto an Android or iOS platform. I do feel, however, like I feel about Linux, that the OS itself started off as a hardened platform that has been opened up slightly, as opposed to the Windows platform, which has been open and then tried to have been boxed back in. So I feel like it's a low attack vector, it's a small attack vector, but I do feel that it is not only possible, but likely that it will happen. Crickets.
Exactly. I don't know, Eric. You deal with this stuff a lot. Is this a thing, or just another security app staying relevant?
Well, I think there's two ways to look at this. The first is that I think that most users who are just going through the Google Play Store or using the Amazon Store, I don't think they necessarily need a malware protection app at all. I think that if you're using F-Secure, or if you're in a country where you have to use something else to get your apps, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Though I kind of feel like it runs the gamut. Like whenever we see these tests of like antivirus and anti-malware apps on Android, of which ones actually will secure your phone and which ones won't. So I don't think that you can make a blanket statement. I need an anti-malware app, or I don't. I think it depends on where you get your apps.
All those are doing the same thing anyway. It's all heuristics and matching definitions and signatures. So like if something comes out that's really nasty, chances are it's not going to catch it till it's too late anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I guess for some people, right, if you're just blindly downloading everything, it's just gonna slow your phone down. And they come to that right at the end of the article. He's like, you'd be foolish to blindly trust Google's vetting process to keep you safe, and there's no harm installing a security app, so as long as you pick one from a reputable company with a history of protecting against malware, like Bitdefender, Avast, Lookout, and AVG. Whether you need one, that depends on you. The people they talk about in the article, he says they both have opposing views on the subject, but the best way to keep your phone safe from infection remains, as always, the common sense and avoiding taking pointless risks. I just like to live my life that way, not even just on my phone. I use common sense, and I avoid taking pointless risks. You know what? Life is all right.
Yeah. I think that it makes sense in a lot of cases. So, the articles need, especially if you go into like the blog posts of from like Ludwig, who says that the Google guy Graham Cluley is full of crap. You can sort of see the opposing views, but I think the article gets it right when they say just use common sense, and it depends on your particular behavior.
So behave yourself.
Watch yourself.
Let's see. Google wipes out a few Google Play Edition devices, so now there are 3 left. Will this continue until there is only 1?
I don't think so. I hope not. They kept the good ones though. The HTC One, the M8 edition, which has been doing very well for HTC, and a lot of people like it. The Moto G, sure. The Mate, and the Galaxy S4. So
what it's
the
worth,
ones they got rid
here's
of were a lot of the pads and stuff.
here's a first generation HTC One, and I gotta tell you, ever since the latest OTA update, I don't know if it's the Sense or if it's the Android that that came with it, but it seems like it's bogged down and gotten slower.
That's the poopy memory that they use in all of these things to keep them cheap. Same problem with the Nexus 10, man. Probably going to have that same problem with the Moto X in 2 more years.
Oh joy!
I'll be honest. I'm seeing some weird slowdowns only 9 months in for my Oppo.
Planned obsolescence, brah. Planned obsolescence. Getting you at the hardware level. They might as well just backdoor that biz and let someone just crash it and be like, well, guess you need a new phone.
No, I've been experiencing, like, even last night when I was updating CyanogenMod, just getting the phone into recovery mode takes 10 seconds longer than it used to. Like, things are just really slowing down in weird places, and it makes me wonder if they did just use cheap hardware.
Makes me not want to get old. I don't want to slow down, Eric. I can't slow down.
I don't think that's a relevant point.
I want to get old, Eric. Now you got me all depressed.
Well, don't worry.
Don't ever get old, and don't ever let me get old.
Your flash memory won't slow down. That's fine.
That's true.
Well, for what it's worth, I still think that this HTC One, because of its stereo speakers, is the best mobile music platform that I have ever owned. The speakers on this thing make the speakers on my tablet look like a piece of junk, and the Moto X isn't even close.
I'll tell you, I've been dealing with that because in my work truck, like, there's a CD player and then a little tape deck, so I've been using a tape to plug into my phone, and the tape thing broke, so I've just been using my phone, like, it's so terrible. When you're on the highway, like, you gotta hold it up to your ear, otherwise you can't hear it. I would imagine having front-facing speakers would probably make a huge diff.
I can shove this HTC One, which, by the way, I put all my phones in OtterBox cases because they're just ridiculously good cases. But I can shove this HTC One inside my motorcycle helmet, and I can play music on it or audiobooks, and they will actually be too loud.
Damn. Mm-hmm. How do you fit that giant phone and your giant head into a helmet?
Well, my head isn't that big, jerk.
But the phone, I couldn't...
Well, it actually, like, believe it or not, you can actually make a phone call on it. I'm not even kidding. It will actually wedge itself, like, well, hold on. Do I have a helmet lying around? I might have a... Well,
I don't think we need the helmet. No problem.
You're going to have to take my word for it, but believe it or not, it will actually fit underneath the helmet in this position. And you can talk on it.
Jesus. I don't ever want a phone that big anywhere near that part of my brain. That's my favorite part. All right, Eric, what's our email address, please?
Because there's a non-favorite part of your brain?
I'm not really thrilled with my limbic system right now. Eric, what's our email address, please?
Well, Matt, if you want to send us some feedback, just send that to show@attackoftheandroids.com.
I love it. Catch us every Tuesday live if you like. attackoftheandroids.com/live. There's a video embed there and a chat room, of course. You can listen on Stitcher, subscribe on iTunes, leave us a review there. We appreciate that. Follow us on Twitter, got a Facebook page, Google Plus community, and a page, as well as all of our pages on all of those sites I just mentioned. We'll see you guys tomorrow evening for Yats, and Thursday for Point and Shoot. And, yeah, have a great week. I really mean that this time. I say that a lot. I really mean it this time, though. Like, have a great week.